Hey yo, everybody! I am finally in the new place. It is very nice here. It's a much better setup. We're in the living room of the place, but you know what? It works. So, as I mentioned last time, gonna go back a little bit, do some talking about character designing, concepting, get all that stuff because I've been trying to do better at modeling Cara, but I've been hitting tons of walls, and it's simply just gotta go back to the drawing board, gotta go back, look at some references, clear it out, figure out what I need to do, what changes I need to make, and so on and so forth. So, this video is all about that. It's not too much of actual design and artwork. It's kind of talking about the concepting and visualization of the conceptualization of the character and just all sorts of things like that. So let's start off with the character sheet that I have here. Let's get a little bit better. So this is simply a sheet laying out like simple questions and simple things about who this character is, what's the main focus about them, what's important, what should characters know, all these simple things. Like for me as the designer, I need to know, okay, she's 5'11, so she's very tall, so no problem with that. I can easily fit her in 5'11. The Unreal Engine guy, I use him as my standard for measurement. He is six. Is he 6 foot? Yeah, he's 6 feet tall. So then that would mean just have to go 1 inch shorter from his head to get Kara's height, which is easily doable. And now that I know that he is in the Unreal Engine at a standard 6 feet for a male character or character in general, then there's no problem getting the proper height for Kara. And then I also have like her distinguishing traits like long blonde hair, a slender physique, a very attractive, beautiful person, always wears a draping white cloth, and things like this to just kind of make sure that, okay, these are things that I have to make sure are in Kara, are in the character design, are in the textures, or in the facial features, or are in all these little things. And also got an idea of what her clothing is, and her religious aspects, affiliations, all these things are kind of what helps out for later on. These are really great story aspects. These down here helps me to understand where I need to go with her when I am filling up the world and putting the character in certain situations that they need to feel like they are in control of this character and that they are following this character's religious or political beliefs and all sorts of things like that. We also have down here, here's another thing that I have to pay attention to when I'm texturing her is I need to make sure I add in these various small scars that I know she got from her time surviving in a storm, her time being on her own and going through rough times and being scraped by rocks, or getting her knee scraped on gravel, or cut by a branch, little things like that. So I need to make sure I add scars to her later on. And then everything here is more combat related. This part, how are they relatable to the target audience, helps me to make sure that when I'm doing her story, that I'm hitting my target audience of teenagers and older. And the reason why we're not doing younger is simply because the concepts that I want to talk about in the game, the things that are going to happen in the game, are not for a kid who's not in their teen years. They have to be in their teen. I feel like they have to be more in their teen years to get a better grasp of a lot of these things that I'm doing in this game. However, I don't think a matured 10-year-old, I do think a mature 10-year-old could play this game. And if a parent so chooses to have their kid play this game, it will work for them, but there are going to be some things that will go over their heads. I've played tons of games where I was like 10 years old and I was playing, I think, Jack and Daxter, Jack 2, the Ratchet and Clank franchise. They are very much a child friendly game, but especially when you think about Jack and Daxter was very child friendly, and then Jack 2 got a much darker, more matured story arc and character development that would go over most 10-year-olds or most immature or very young minded 10-year-olds. So that's something I got to make sure when we start doing the storytelling that I hit that point for the target audience. But besides that, this is all just the, I should say, grunt work of character concepting, where you have to go through and like lay out everything from A to Z about this character and then start narrowing it down as to what's important for the given moment. And what's important now is her height, distinguishing traits, the clothing, scars, and a little bit of her typical kit, because I will be adding that into the demo level. She will be getting her typical kit. She will be crafting it, and my nose is so itchy. Oh my god, itching on. Ah. Okay, sorry. Oh, that was so itchy. So now we can go into the actual concepting that I've done for Cara. And this is where I think I need to go back to the drawing board and revisit and look at. And I do got some better references for what I'm trying to hit. So when I was first designing her, I failed to think I should get a female's face. I should have taken pictures of my fiance's face doing certain facial expressions, because what I did here is I took selfies of myself and tried to add more feminine features to my own facial structures, which was me trying to thin out my jawline a little bit, add some more add a more angular chin, and it kind of worked out, and it kind of didn't, because I still added I added a lot of dimples and marks like on the chin. Especially I added a lot of dimples and marks on the chin that normally isn't recognized as a female feature. And the nose, I've tried to slim it down much more than what it was, because it was very bulky and I've got a very large wide nose. So I was trying to slim it down and also try and hit a lot of those stylistic choices in the character design. And I do have references of that to show you. So the body type is the body structure. I think I actually got that pretty accurately using that character creation tool to create the basic form of the body, but I need to do a lot more work on the facial features, because as I talk a lot about the uncanny valley, I feel like if the facial features don't work, then it's going to disturb a lot of players. And it already, I've been told by a few people who I run into in my daily life, have sat there and said it's good, but it's kind of disturbing. And so I've got to work on improving that. But here is a stylized character, a stylized female character, and she is very stylized. She, like, when we look at the lines right here around her chest and abdomen area, right where you see like the rib cage, you can see how they have it very straight. It's a very flat, angular surface. There's a it, like the center line divots inward across everything, creating a harsh line there. Now, this is a very interesting character. This wouldn't look bad in most games. This is very much similar to what I would say Fortnite has for characters. Is they're very much flat 2D characters with some three-dimensional features to them. And I say flat 2D because the texture on top of the character is very flat and two-dimensional with the 3D figure. And up here mainly is what I wanted to focus on is the facial structure here is exactly what I was kind of looking for, where it is a strong female jawline with full lips and a nice button nose and these big eyes. And I sat there and once I saw the big eyes, I was like, oh, that's what I'm missing. I don't have like these big eyes. I haven't exaggerated any features here and there. So that's something for me to look into is to exaggerate some facial features for the characters. And especially when I was looking around here for the elbows, you can see how they're just straight up polygon, polygon, grab this edge, and they pulled it up. I went to grab at the screen, but you guys don't see that. And then the other thing that I was looking into was the hair. She has long flowing hair, but it's all one mass with some information sculpted into it. And this is a lot of sculpted data too, because the bicep here is very sculpted. The fingers and toes, especially right around the deltoids on into the upper body, you can see how well sculpted this character model is. And heading onwards, here's just another character that I found that I was basing a lot of reference off and needing for a lot of referencing is you can see again this strong line, but it was the big eyes. The big eyes is what I was forgetting. And we do have more long flowing hair. And in this one, it's simple. There are some small strands that noodle out, whereas the rest of it is still just this large mass that gets braided on down across her back. And so that's something for me to focus on. The ears, you can see how there's simple information in the ears, and a whole bunch of it. A lot of the information in the ears I could probably get by with just a normal map and texturing and material based processes, but the character's face is something that I definitely need to look back into, and I might have to start completely from scratch with the character design and go with a much more basic model to create this because the one I have I'm starting to think might be too realistic in features, and I might want to over exaggerate some features because I am wanting to do a stylized character and stylized game. Just like, okay, this is why I wanted to bring up Tracer from Overwatch because she's a very stylized character, but you can see here a lot of this is lighting, like the glossy lip is all lighting and reflections, and this is a cinematic render versus the game render. The game render of her is totally different, but this is a perfect close up of her that helps me to understand how to get that simple, strong jawline that I was wanting and simplify the features of the nose and the face. You can see how they still have like some of that dimpling going on around her lips and the slight dimpling here of the chin where the lip starts to become more full and what do they call it? Bend out, I guess, is mainly what I can think of right now. So this is a lot of what I've been looking for, and now that I'm seeing a lot more of these references and getting more nitpicking and up close and tight with this, I'm starting to understand what I need to do to improve my own character design. And I also went and looked at here's another the hair model, and I could see the connection point here is very much a harsh connection. It is just the hair put gets put right into the model and loops in, and you can tell that this is the head is a different structure than the hair. The hair is separate from the head, but they are conjoined or maybe grouped together so that they can be animated all together. And that might be a smart thing for me to do is to make the entire hair piece a whole separate model and just move it on in and try to blend out the edges and the lines there like they're trying to here. So that's something for me to think about. And I could easily do that. I was already starting to do that before. So I have a basic idea of how I would get that going. I also have one more reference here. It was all the way up here at the beginning. So here was just another one. Now, this one is a stylized character, but this is mainly for me to look at because this is what I don't want to reach in the facial features. Is this one is a very um anime style character design. You can look how the chin down here is very pointed. There's some puffy cheeks, and it follows a lot of the anime style of character design, which is totally fine. This is still really gorgeous character design from the artist, but I need to make sure that I don't follow this method, which I think I started to get a little too much into the more anime realism features, which was just throwing people off because if you're not used to those, because you can just see how the eyes look like they're bulging like big giant cartoon eyes, like where the dog sees something attractive and the eyes pop out of the head and all that stuff. It's very disturbing in some ways, but it also works as a cartoon. If this Since this is all very toonish and doesn't have any realistic textures to it other than a bit of a bruising here and the nice tattooing that they did, it works. It doesn't look too disturbing. It follows more anime and keeps in that realm of, gosh, anime follows that realm of where everyone has more childlike features, and the only people who have very adult features are full grown adults who are like aged 40 to 50 above, and they're like grandparents kind of deal. But that works for anime because anime is very what am I trying to think? Anime is very targeted towards the young teenage audience, where the American cartoons kind of tend to be more targeted to all ages, and that's what I'm trying to do is still keep my target audience towards all ages, where that is why I'm trying to do the Overwatch style of character design. The character design I'm seeing here and here, especially this one. So this is a really good starting point for me to look at, and I'm definitely going to be taking a lot of notes from this character design to improve my own character design and to improve my own understanding of character artwork, because it's a whole new beast to be a character artist. And it's kind of one of the things I avoided in college just because I felt so uncomfortable about it, because when you're designing characters, you have to be so accurate and you can't waver in any way, or you're instantly going to have people critiquing it in the way that you didn't want it to be critiqued. Whereas with environments are so loose, you can create whatever you want in characters. I would talk about video games way too much. I mean, people. People, when they see the environment and they see your stylistic approach to creating that environment, they see it as an art form. They see the art. They see it as something magnificent and intellectual or this or that. Then they have a lot of positive critiques about it, and you can get away with a lot more things, I should say, too. At least I feel you can get away with a bit more in environment design than you can with character design. But other than this, we will be getting another video about Diesel Punk. There'll be another 2 videos coming out for that, and then another video going back to environment design, going to show you that finished area. I've been working on that bit by bit, so that will finally have a more finished look and a finished appearance. It might not be fully textured. It might only be gray boxed out a whole bunch, but at least there'll be a lot of the technical aspects will be done, and it'll just be adding the final touches for the environment there, and then we can start going into the canyon environment area, which is going to be very quick and easy because it's just creating canyon walls and some tree branches and rocks and things like that, which I already have rocks, so I just need to create walls and easy peasy stuff. So, with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook. You'll find the link for that in the description below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.